What's up, Calc class? This is Haley. For my final project, I'm making a beat and I'm going to be explaining the math behind it. Um, we're just going to get right into it, and I'm going to break down the mathematics behind making a beat. A lot of the little things that I do that I don't even think about. I have a lot of experience in music theory. I've been around music most of my life, so a lot of this is just common knowledge. But for most producers, they make these beats and they don't sound good, or something just doesn't sound right, and it's because they don't understand the mathematics behind it. And so I took some time and I broke down, um, or I'm going to be breaking down the little parts inside of a beat that really matter when it comes down to it. So what I'm working in the key of F major, and so right here, my root note is A sharp or B flat, and so the F major key. Most keys in music, they uh, um, they have a certain number progression. So with this key, I can shift the notes to a different note. So if I want to take this A sharp and play it on a B, which you can see is not in the scale, everywhere that's highlighted green is a note that fits in this scale. But if it's blue here where you can see the background, it means it won't fit inside this key. It'll sound bad when I play with it. So if I'm playing this key, it won't fit with it. It won't longer be F major scale. It'll be a different scale, but it'll still sound good because every major and minor scale have a certain number progression. For example, the major scales, it goes 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, and it repeats again: 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, and it'll just keep going. Minor scales, it's a different number progression. Since we're working in a major, that's going to be our numbers, and each scale has its own chords that sound good with it in a different chord progression. For example, I'm going to be using a very popular chord progression in rap music called, it goes 3, 2, 6, 5, and I'll be showing you guys in a little bit what that is, but I already went out of my way and I picked out some of the sounds that I want to use. And so I'm just going to be breaking down this guitar beat that I'm about to make. So let's get right into it. So as you can see here, since I put in those notes, anywhere that's a lighter color tells me if it fits on the scale or not. And so I know all these whitish notes, the light blue notes, will work inside this scale, but if I play something right here, it won't fit. It just doesn't sound good. Since I already went out of my way and picked the chord progressions, let's do that really quickly. So here's my first chord that we're playing, the A minor chord. And so right here, it's going to be going from 12, 3, and 7. So we're playing 12, 3, and 7. And you can hear that it sounds good. Like, it doesn't sound muddy. If I were to put a note right here, if I move this down, it doesn't sound good. Or if I move this right here, something just doesn't sound right. And so you have to play it on one of these white notes to make it sound good. So even if I wanted to move it up, it would sound good. But since we're sticking to our 3, 2, 6, 5 chord progression, this is what I'm going to be playing. And so our next note is going to be the G minor, and G minor goes down to G right here, and it goes to the B flat or A sharp, and then a D. And just like these ones, they all fit in the white. So I'm going to go ahead and just put these chords in really quickly. Alright, I got my chords right here. They're all laid out. So it goes 3, 2, 6, 5. And I'm not going to play it through because I'm going to try to cut this video short. I don't want to take up everybody's time. It's already going to be fairly long. But so we're just going to get into now making a melody. A lot of the time, to give a song bounce, you normally want to play your sounds on these bars where you see the little the darker white bars, the thicker ones. And especially you always want to have something hitting on the major ones, every single measure. But to give a song bounce, you sometimes have to play off beat a little bit. So right here, I went straight down to here and skipped this part instead of bringing this over to here, this over here. I brought it in, and it'll sound like this. And so I'm going to continue making the rest of this melody really quickly. So I got my melody right here, and just like I explained over here where you play these half-step notes that skips the beat, I threw these throughout the beat, and it makes it sound nicer. So I'm just going to play it through. I'm going to move this down because I don't want it to get too repetitive. If it's playing the same thing over and over again, the human ear gets tired of hearing the same frequencies over and over and over again. So it's nice to switch it up even if it's just a note. And that's why I'm not repeating these same two notes even though I'm repeating this melody. I'm playing different chords all the way throughout. And so now I'm going to go in and make a counter melody to this. I'm going to go ahead and make a melody with this bell, and I'll show you guys what it sounds like after. Alright guys, so I got my bell melody done, and I decided to go in and change the bell sound. So this is what it sounds like with the guitar. So that's what we have so far. And another thing I'm going to do is go into the guitar, and to make something sound more human, you have to make sure it's not hitting completely on beat, and you also have to make sure the velocity, it's all at 80% right now, going all the way across. And no human's going to play the exact same velocity on an instrument at the exact same time. No one can create the exact sound wave over and over and over again like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the velocity up like this, and now it's going to sound more human when I go through and play it. And I'm also going to go in and lower the notes on the chords. So playing the two melodies together, we got this. Now I'm going to show you some effects to throw on this guitar that's going to make, and I'm going to go into the math more on these than I have been in here, because there isn't too much math on this besides playing off beat, staying on beat, just 1, 2, 3, 4. And another thing I forgot to talk about was the BPM here. So this is how many beats are going to hit per minute. The higher you go, the faster the song's going to be, and the more upbeat it's going to sound, the more hyped it's going to be. But if I lowered this to 90, it's going to be very slow, and it's going to be more sad. But since we're going for something more fun, I'm going to raise it again. And another thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the low frequencies down here on the guitar, and basically from 20 to 10,000, this is every frequency the human ear can hear. So if I play this, you can see that the notes are playing down here, and we don't want any bass in a melody. So we're going to raise this. So it may not sound better right now, but later on in the end, it will. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to add on this thing called gross beat. And what I'm about to do with this is called halftime. It's going to cut our melody in half. So, and I'll show you what it sounds like. So even though we're playing at a high 160 BPM, which is very high, especially in any kind of music, it's playing the melody now at an 80 BPM, and it's going very slowly, and it also brings it down an octave. So what we're going to do is go into the melody, and we're going to raise it. So now that it's playing in halftime, a cool thing we can do is bring this in. And then we're going to duplicate it. And if I were to play this without the gross beat, this is what it would sound like. So now I'm playing this whole melody that we had stretched out, playing at half the speed, and it gives it a cool effect. So and another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and add reverb. So reverb, basically it gives it the sound that the guitar is going to be bouncing off the walls. And we can adjust this. So I'm going to do a cathedral effect. So this is going to be a very large room, and it has a lot of wetness, which means there's going to be a lot of echoing coming on. So I'm going to bring this down. So it might be hard for you to hear the difference, but it does give it a little bit more of an echo, and it sounds more natural. Now we're going to get into making the bass. So just like I talked about earlier, we're going to take the root notes. So we have an A, G, D, and then F. So when we go in here, we want to play A, G, D, and F. I'm going to make this bass and then show you guys once I'm done. So we have the root notes coming in now. We have our bass notes. And just like I said, we followed the A, G, D, and F. And I moved these up one octave. And one thing I like to do with my bass notes is I play the drum off beat, just like I was talking about with the melody, and it gives it a bounce. So I'm going to play it through. And we're going to move on to the kick. For the kick, we're just going to copy the 808, and it's going to make it hit a lot harder. A very common thing that you want in today's style of music is to always have the clap hit on the second measure. So you always want it to hit right there, and then the fourth measure, so right here. So 2, 4, I'm going to hit 2 again, then 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. Because I could always add the clap right here, but it just doesn't fit well. So, especially with this type of music. So you always want it to give some bounce, make it sound better. So we have it hitting on the first beat of every other measure. And another common thing with the hi-hats is to play them as eighth notes, so it's just going to go really quickly. A lot of people will take their open hats and they'll throw them off beat as well. And traditionally, back during rock or even going back to Mozart, people would never trail off beat. Only in like the last 10 years have people really been going off beat, besides the blues. The blues was very off beat. But so you play them in these like red notes, and you'll play them where no other note's playing, and it gives it a cool sound that you might not hear in a song, but you may not recognize it's there, but it's there. Another cool thing you can do, just like I've been talking about this whole time, playing off beat, you have the 1, 2, 3, 4. Traditionally, you don't play drums just off beat, but it gives it a cool sound when you do. So I'm going to play these every third note. So now I'm going to go in with this rim shot, and I'm going to play it in thirds while everything else is playing in fourths. So at the end here, I might go like this. So when we get to over here, and just that's all I'm gonna put in there. So now we're gonna go back in the hi-hats, and I'm gonna spice these up, change them up a little bit. Once I finish these hi-hats, I'll bring it back, and then I'll play you this beat how it is right now, and then I'm gonna go in, lay it out, change some things up, and show you guys the final product and explain some of the math behind that as well. Alright guys, so I'm back. I'm going to play this beat really quickly. I'm going to play just the drums and then with the melody. And so this is what our drums sound like. And with the melodies. Go in really quickly and add some effects to this bell. So what I just did, I went back to that reverb. I made it a very large room and I wanted a lot of echoes, so you're gonna have the sound waves bouncing off this whole room, and if you're in the center, it's gonna sound echoey, like you're in a giant like if you were in a church. And if I brought it in, it would sound like it's bouncing all around you. So when I bring it in like this, it makes it quieter, more echoey, gives it more space. And I added one more effect to the bell. I did the exact same thing that we did on our guitar here with the halftime, but this is playing over the entirety of a measure. So this is first beat, second, third, and fourth. It's halftime, the whole thing. What I'm doing here is playing halftime, but for only one note or for every quarter note at a time. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, and every time a new beat, it resets, so it won't miss any of the beats that we're playing. So now I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna lay this beat out and finish this up. Alright guys, so I went out, I laid out our beat here that I made. We'll call it like AP Calc beat or something. I went ahead and mixed it. So basically what I did is, when in music, you never want to mix super high. You don't want to level your song up here because it'll clip, and the levels are dB here. So this is 0. 0 means your that's the bass level. That's where you want the song to end, and that's where the song starts. But right now when we play it, you can see that it's only getting to right here. So that ends up being fixed in mastering. We're not going to do that because it takes too much time. But so basically when you mix your beat, you want to put it down low. And so right here, I brought it down to -8 decibels. So it's playing -8 decibels lower. And that's pretty significant, knowing that it only goes down to 40. Or infinite, but it goes down to right around 60, and it continuously gets quieter and quieter. So right here you can see the lines end up getting shorter and shorter in distance, and that's just kind of like our EQ earlier, where it goes 20, 50, 100, but then down here it goes 5,000 in just this little gap. So you can tell the sound waves right here, the lower the dB, the longer the sound waves are going to be and the quieter they will be. And so it's just like light rays also. You have in the down in the lows, it's very long waves like this, and then it's going to get shorter and shorter until the point where it's just going like this. And that creates higher frequency, and people can go in and make sounds depending on what they want to make. I've made sounds before. I don't do it too often, but you can make higher pitch sounds, mid-range or low, depending on how you set your sine wave. And when you set these sine waves, that's going to determine how the sound's going to sound, along with a collection of other things, but it would take too much time getting into. So here's our beat. I'm going to play it through for you guys. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. I know it was long, probably the longest presentation, but enjoy. Alright, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to watch this, if you watched it all the way through. If you like the beat, feel free to follow me on SoundCloud. I'm dropping a mixtape soon. The name's Ryan Hill. Thanks, Mr. E's class. Hope you all have a good summer.